Hello! Welcome to another edition of the Giant Onion Growing Challenge 24-25. And in the video today, I'm going to be potting on my seedlings. I'm going to be talking to you about mycorrhizal fungi, whatever that is. I'm going to be talking to you about onion stress, and I'm going to reveal to you my secret weapon that I've been using to grow these onion seeds. I'm Gang. Welcome to the channel, Gang and Peanuts, 2 peas in a pod. Now, I think the first thing I'm going to do is to reveal to you my secret weapon that I've been using to bring these seedlings along. And here it is. It is a Vitopod, and it is a propagator, and it's quite a large propagator, as you can see. This has a heated base to it, which can be controlled with a thermostat. It has lighting, and in the corner there, if you can see down there, I have a small fan going, and I can control the temperature. I can sort of control the humidity, and I think it's fantastic, not only for growing these onion seedlings, but for growing lots of seedlings that I'll be starting off over the winter and into the early spring. And I've wanted one for quite a while, and I'm really pleased with it. So there we go. That's my secret weapon revealed. So I'm going to start off the potting on process by getting my compost mix. And this is the same mix that was used when the seedlings were planted in the cell trays. It's a 2-to-1 mix, which is 2 scoops of a sifted compost and 1 equal scoop of a vermiculite. And it leaves a nice, light, fluffy and open compost to plant these seedlings into. So, let's have a look at the seedlings. So, these are the seedlings, if you can see them there. And these were planted on the 3rd of November. It's now the 21st of November, so these are 3 weeks on from when I first sowed them. And they're not too bad. 1 or 2 are not quite going to make it, I don't think. And 1 or 2 are starting to get their next leaf coming up. So I'm going to pop these on. I'm going to pop them on into these pots. And I believe they're a 7 centimetre, or is it a 4-inch? I can't remember. But if you're looking for these pots and you want to go to your local garden centre and get some, you've probably got no chance. I went to 3 local garden centres. They didn't have any of these. If I wanted to buy some Christmas rubbish, a Santa, a bauble for the tree, or indeed a Christmas tree, I would have been in luck. There were loads. But at the moment, garden centres contain everything except gardening stuff. So if you need anything, best to order them online. Now, what I've done with these seedlings, because these modules, these cells are quite small, I noticed that quite early the roots were coming out of the bottom. So what I done was, because I knew I couldn't pot them on at that point, it was far too early, I put the whole cell in a tray that was filled with the same compost that they were sown in. And as you can see, these roots are really coming along. And I think that's because I sat them in this tray. I think if I hadn't sat them in this tray, they may have struggled a bit. So possibly, a note to myself, sow them in a slightly bigger module next time. However, as I've said before, I do like these modules because when I need to remove the plant, I can simply push it up and the whole plug will come out. Hopefully. Let's give it a try. So, the first thing is I'm going to fill this pot with some of this compost. Remember, it's the same mix. It's a 2-to-1 mix of a sifted compost and vermiculite. And what I'm hoping is, if I can put my thumb in there, I can make a depression the same size as the plugs, for want of a better description, the onion plugs, and hopefully they'll slide straight in there. We shall see. Now, before I do that, Duncan at Coastal Gardens NW, which I believe is North Wales, I watched one of his videos and he was using mycorrhizal fungi, which is this, if you can see it. Now, I'd heard of it before, but I'd never used it, so I thought, well, I'm trying to learn something new with growing onions, so I will give it a go. And I bought this on the internet. It wasn't particularly expensive, and it is a premium mycorrhizal inoculant containing many species of beneficial fungi, bacteria and biological stimulants to promote strong and healthy growth. So I'm going to give it a try. I need to take some of this out of here, put it into something where I can shake or sprinkle it. And Duncan recommends that you sprinkle some on the roots of the plant, just a little sprinkle, and a little sprinkle into the hole where you're going to plant them. And that does benefit them a lot. So, Duncan, thanks for the tip. I'm going to give it a try. So there's a little bit of the mycorrhizal fungi. I've put it in this tray. For want of a better thing, I'll probably find a little pepper shaker or something. That'll be a much better option to use in the future. But I shall sprinkle a little of this over these little plugs where the roots are. And I'll sprinkle a little bit of it into this hole where it's being planted. And hopefully that will help the whole process. So let me take one of these little plugs, and if you can see them, there they are. The roots are pushing their way around, and there's a second leaf starting to come. If I can gently get this into that hole like that. There it is. There's the first one potted on. If you can see that, there's another leaf coming just there. And one of the questions is, should these onions be trimmed or not? Now, if I was growing normal onions, I probably would just trim the top. But I think I'm probably going to leave these to just do their thing, because they're growing straight. They've been under the lights in the Vitopod. They're not floppy, they're quite strong, because they've had a fan in there that's been going all the time that the lights are on. And the lights are on, initially I had them on for 12 hours a day, and as these seedlings grew a bit stronger and a bit bigger, I then put the lights on for 16 hours a day, and all that time the fan's been on, and you can see that has helped to make them quite strong little seedlings. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm not going to show you all of them when I do them, but I'm going to do these, and I'll show you what I do once I've got these all potted on. These ones are the alci, and I've also got some of the calci, and the calci that were sent to me by Ali at My Rusty Garden, they are looking really strong. They're like a Canadian bruiser. Now these are some of the calci, and the thing I've noticed is the roots on these do seem to be much more developed, and the whole little seedling seems much more developed at the moment than the alci. So I don't know why that is. Pop that in there. There we go. Now, while I'm potting these on, I just wanted to talk to you about onion stress. Or it should be onion anxiety, really. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I get up in the morning, the first thing I think about are these little seedlings. And when I go to bed at night, the last thing I think about are these little seedlings. And I think I'm suffering with onion anxiety. I'm very anxious that nothing happens to them and I may have to start all over again. But something comes along, the lights foul, the fan fouls, I don't know, there's a lot of things that could and couldn't go wrong. So it's making me quite anxious, which is also quite fun in a way. So there we go. I now have 8 of the calcire, and how many have I got there? 12 of the alcire, and those are the better ones. I'm keeping the rest of these little seedlings here. I will let them grow on another few days, and I'll probably pot them on as well and see what they do, because if it turns out they're not going to be the particularly large onions, I should still get an onion that I can eat. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier was when I pot these on into this compost, I make sure this compost is the same temperature as the compost that the seedlings were already sitting in, or as near as I could get to it, because I put some of this compost into a container and I put it into the Vitopod where it heated up to the same temperature. I'm also going to pop these in some water. Now it'll be rainwater, and again I've got some rainwater that's not freezing cold, fresh out of the water butt or something. I've got some in the Vitopod. See, it has more than one use, doesn't it, the Vitopod? I've got some in the Vitopod that is up to temperature. It's probably around about 18, 19 degrees. The same as the environment in which these little seedlings have been sitting. But I don't want to water them and shock them when they've just been transplanted. Right, so that's rainwater that's at the same temperature as everything in that Vitopod. I'm going to pop these in there so they can absorb the water up, the water in from the bottom. There we go. And when they're done, I shall give them a covering of the vermiculite over the top, just to keep some of the moisture in. And they'll be ready to just go into the Vitopod, go back under the lights, back at the right temperature. And the temperature I'll probably put them at is around about 17 or 18 degrees. And hopefully they're going to grow on. So that is the next stage done for me. Brilliant! I'm going to put a little bit of this vermiculite onto the top of each one, just like that, which may help to keep some of the moisture in, keep the base of those roots hopefully quite dry, stop any disease from starting. There, and that is more or less that. So that's the seedlings potted on. The next stage of the Giant Onion Growing Challenge 24-25. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Gang Gang. This is Gang Gang and Peanut, 2 peas in a pod. And as ever, until next time, take care.